said with me, imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book.
Tell me, that number you all wear, what's it mean?
Oh, Fahrenheit 451.
Why 451 rather than 813 or 121?
Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature at which book paper catches fire and starts to burn.
I can't get these memories out of my mind, and some kind of madness has started to evolve. I tried so hard to let you go, but some kind of madness is swallowing me whole. Yeah, I have found.
We're book burners too. We read the books and burnt them, afraid they'd be found. Microfilming didn't pay off. We were always traveling. We didn't want to bury the film and come back later. Always a chance of discovery. Better to keep it in the old heads, where no one can see it or suspect it. We are all bits and pieces of history and literature and international law. Byron, Tom Paine, Machiavelli, or Christ. It's here. All we want to do is keep the knowledge we think we'll need, intact and safe. We're not out to incite or anger anyone yet, for if we are destroyed, the knowledge is dead. Perhaps for good. We are model citizens in our own special way. We walk the old tracks, we lie in the hills at night, and the city people let us be. We're stopped and searched occasionally, but there's nothing on our persons to incriminate us. We're nothing more than dust jackets for books. No significance otherwise. Some of us live in small towns. One of Thoreau's Walden and Green River, Chapter 2 in Willowfont, Maine. Why, there's one town in Maryland, only 27 people. No bomb will ever touch that town. It's the complete essays of a man named Bertrand Russell. Pick up that town, almost, and flip the pages. So many pages to a person. And when the war's over, someday, some year, the books can be written again. The people will be called in, one by one, to recite what they know, and will set it up in type until another dark age.
Mildred sat a moment, and then, seeing that Montag was still in the doorway, clapped her hands.
Let's talk politics to please Guy.
Sounds fine, said Mrs. Bowles.
I voted last election, same as everyone, and I laid it on the line for President Noble. I think he's one of the nicest looking men ever became president.
Oh, but the man they ran against him.
He wasn't much, was he? Kind of small and homely, and he didn't shave too close or comb his hair very well.
What possessed the outs to run him? You don't go running a little short man like that against a tall man. Besides, he mumbled. Half the time I couldn't hear a word he said, and the words I did hear I didn't understand.
Fat, too, and didn't dress to hide it. No wonder the landslide was for Winston Noble. Even their names helped. Compare Winston Noble to Hubbard Hogg for 10 seconds, and you can almost figure out the results.
Damn it,
cried Montag.
what do you know about Hogg and Noble?
Why, they were right in that parlor wall not 6 months ago. One was always picking his nose. Drove me wild.
No front porches. My uncle says there used to be front porches, and people sat there sometimes at night, talking when they wanted to talk, rocking and not talking when they didn't want to talk. Sometimes they just sat there and thought about things, turned things over. My uncle says that architects got rid of front porches because they didn't look well. But my uncle says that was merely rationalizing it. The real reason, hidden underneath, might be they didn't want people sitting like that, doing nothing, rocking, talking, and that was the wrong kind of social life. People talked too much, and they had too much time to think.
The fact is, we didn't get along until photography came into its own. Then, motion pictures, radio, television. Things began to have mass. And because they had mass, they became simpler. Once, books appealed to a few people. They could afford to be different. The world was roomy. But then the world became full of eyes, elbows, and mouths. Double, triple, quadruple population. Films, radios, magazines, books leveled down to a paste-pudding norm. Picture it, 19th century man with his horses, dogs, carts, slow motion. Then, in the 20th century, speed up your camera, books cut shorter. Speed up the film, Montag, quick. Then, in midair, all vanishes. Whirl man's mind around so fast under the pumping hands of publishers, exploiters, broadcasters, that the centrifuge flings off all unnecessary, time-wasting thought. School is shortened, discipline relaxed. Philosophies, history, languages dropped. English and spelling gradually neglected. Finally, almost completely ignored. Life is immediate. Why learn anything save pressing buttons, pulling switches, fitting nuts and bolts?
Technology, mass exploitation, and minority pressure carry the trick. Thank God. Today, thanks to them, you can stay happy all the time. You're allowed to read comics, the good old confessions, or trade journals. With school turning out more runners, jumpers, racers, tinkerers, grabbers, snatchers, flyers, and swimmers instead of examiners, critics, knowers, and imaginative creators, the word intellectual, of course, became the swear word it deserved to be. Surely you remember the boy in your own school class who was exceptionally bright, did most of the reciting and answering while the others sat like so many laden idols, hating him. And wasn't it this bright boy you selected for your beatings and tortures after hours? Of course it was. We must all be alike. Not everyone born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone made equal. Each man the image of every other. Then they're all happy. For there are no mountains to make them cower, to judge themselves against. So, a book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it. Take the shot from the weapon. Breach man's mind.